American Women's Roles in World War II by Morgan Smith. Narration by Morgan Smith. American women played important roles during World War II, both at home and in uniform. Not only did they give their sons, husbands, fathers, and brothers to the war effort, they gave their time, energy, and some even gave their lives. Reluctant to enter the war when it erupted in 1939, the United States quickly committed itself to total war after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. That commitment included utilizing all of America's assets, women included. Women were needed to fill many traditional male jobs and roles during the war, and various advertisements were used to encourage women to take on these jobs and roles. When the war began, quickie marriages became normal, as teenagers married their sweethearts before their men went overseas to fight the war. As the men fought abroad, women on the home front worked to manage their households. As the demand for public transportation grew, women even became streetcar conductorettes for the very first time. When men left, women became proficient cooks and housekeepers. They managed the finances and learned to fix the car, worked in defense plants, and even out of all that found time to write letters to their soldier husbands while at war. In the community, women raised money for war bonds, collected blood, and aided in civil defense, and hosted events for troops to make sure they were taken care of. Nearly 3,500,000 American women served in uniform both at home and abroad. Volunteering for the newly formed Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, also renamed as the Women's Army Corps. There were also the Navy Women's Reserves, also known as WWIIs, the Marine Corps Women Reserves, the Coast Guard Women Reserves, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, the Army Nurse Corps, and the Navy Nurse Corps. General Eisenhower felt that he could not win the war without the aid of the women in uniform. Women joined the Nurse Corps and the armed forces so that more men could be sent into combat. Women leaders helped determine the outcome of the war and the peace that followed. When women in uniform took office and clerical jobs in the armed forces in order to free men to fight. They also drove trucks, repaired airplanes, worked as laboratory technicians, rigged parachutes, served as radio operators, analyzed photographs, flew military aircrafts across the country. They test flew newly repaired planes and even trained anti-aircraft artillery gunners by acting as flying targets. U.S. factories retooled for war production, which meaning new facilities greatly expanded industrial output, and women were significantly part of the labor force. The demand put on American women during the war was huge. There were so many decisions and jobs put on them at once, but some of the hardworking women enjoyed the challenge. With millions of men at war, it was clear the only way America would be able to win the war was to enlist a large amount of women into the industries. This was not an easy task for most women. They were reminded every day that their loved ones were in danger because they were not receiving the supplies they needed to fight in the war. This convinced women that their country's needs were more important than managing their households and other job duties. Towards the end of the war, women found themselves participating in every aspect of the war industry, and proud to say they accomplished jobs most men thought they could not do. American women worked day and night every day during the war. Once the war was over, it was a start to women equality in the workforce alongside their male companions. But most of all, the hardworking American women knew they gave it all they had during the war. While building airplanes, making military clothing, and caring for the wounded was all worth it to bring their loved ones home as safe and quickly as possible. Thank you.